I'm not here to present this as a historical reenactment of silk painting in any way, shape, or form. This is how I was initially taught silk painting at Penzic years and years ago, and I find that it's really exciting to see like people flying banners and making everything beautiful. There are QR codes out on the table. If you want to scan that, there are historical resources that are readily available, and this will take you to a Google Doc where I have put in a bunch of links for things. The most extensive one is unfortunately a Facebook group, and the amount of resources that they have in that Facebook group are just incredible.
Is that the standard?
The standard display. Yeah. They have a files section, and there's no way that I could even hope to recreate what is there. So there are some highlighted things that I have pulled out on my document for you. If you don't want to go digging through all that, I highlighted a few that I think are really good resources. If you really want to get into the history of it, silk painting has been around 3,000 plus years, originating back in China, according to the research that other people have done, and I have read. The materials and the processes that we are going to use today are all incredibly modern because that's what we have access to. And I will be adding to the resources list the materials that I use. Sorry, they're not on there today. But it's a living document, so I'll keep adding to it. And somewhere I did type up like all of this stuff. I did this as a demonstration at my home for about 5 people, and they really loved it. So I thought, okay, we'll give this a go. We'll make it a class and see how it goes. They didn't get all the hands-on that you're potentially getting today. So the first thing, let's talk about the different types of materials that you might want to use. And this is assuming that you are making a banner of some sort. Doesn't matter the shape or the size, but if you're going to make a silk banner, the type of silk that I use is from Dharma Trading Company. It is their hand-rolled habotai. I've heard it many different ways. Habotai. Their silks. The hand-rolled ones are getting harder and harder to come by. This one that I'm going to be using for a demonstration piece is actually machine hemmed. So if that's important to you, you can do that. I do this because I don't really care to, cut and sew all of my own, so it's kind of a cheat. But there are also resources available. I know people who buy bolts of silk, and I've tried 5 millimeter, I think, is the. I'll confirm that and put it in the doc for you when I get home. But it's much. I'll find it. It is the HABOTAI. Oh, it's 8 millimeter. Sorry. It is 8 millimeter. And they come in many, many, many different sizes. So I have really tiny ones. So coming soon to an event near you, I'm going to set up a make and take station so people can do their own little ones. Artisan's Day is my hope, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I need to come up with frames. We'll talk about frames in a second. All right. So anyway, really, really small to quite large. And I think this is one of the largest ones I have. Nope, that's not. I have some that are twice this wide and 80 inches long. So that is the largest one I have personally made. And you need a lot of space for that. So you will need silk. You will need to prepare your silk. There is a cleanser. Even if you purchase like a bulk silk, you're going to want to wash it first. There are slugs and things that live on the silk or end up on the silk after it's processed into a piece of fabric. So you want to make sure you get all that washed off. And this is, again, Dharma Trading Company is where I get most of my things from. This is professional textile detergent. And I have had this for, honestly, almost a decade. And I've only used that much. So you don't need to use a whole lot of it. But it is a very important part of the process, because if you don't, then your paint does not adhere to the silk as well. Ask me how I know. Okay. Then you will need paint. The paints that we are using are the Jacquard Dynaflow. So this is called the Serti technique, S-E-R-T-I, is the technique that we will be doing here. And what makes the Dynaflow paints possible is the use of some sort of resist. And we'll talk about different types of resist and what you might or might not want to use for various applications. You will also need a frame. My frame is a little beefy. It does not have to be this dirty. You can use, I find that PVC frames are really nice because they're lightweight. They're easily configurable. I have mine set up with multiple pieces. You can see there's a join here. And you kind of want your frame to fit your piece that you're going to be working on. So this one, if you can see, like, okay, this is fine this way, right, from side to side, but width-wise, it's a little big. So I have various sizes of parts, so I can just pop it apart and make it smaller. And then when I do that, hopefully that gives me, oh, it's not going to be enough. Ah, okay, I'm going to have to go with the bigger frame. Okay. Yeah, because otherwise if I take that out, it's like a puzzle. It's great. I'm not going to look at those. I thought it might, but it won't be. So it'll be a little wider than I need it to be, but that's okay. All right. So we have our silk, we have our resist, we have our ink, or our paint, and we have our frame. So the next thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you are able to stretch your silk out onto your frame. I will take a moment to pause here because I have always used this method of stretching my silk out before I put any design on it. There are people who recommend, especially if you have some really long lines to do, that you lay out your silk and you tape it or pin it or to something and draw your straight lines before you put it on your frame. So if you have very large, because long lines are hard. And you'll see once we get this up on the frame, it'll be taut, but it won't necessarily be exactly square, which is okay because it's out there doing these things, right? It's like we're not using these as table runners or something where people are going to go, oh wow, that line's a little crooked. Hopefully you're displaying them and they look really nice. So, all right. And if anybody wants to come up and take a closer look at what we're doing, that's fine. There are many methods of attaching your silk to your frame. There's these lovely pins that can be used. You hammer them into a wooden frame. Again, I use the PVC because I make all different sizes of banners. My husband was really sweet and made me a 30 by 30 frame, but he made it a 30 by 30 frame. And a 30 by 30 piece of silk then does not stretch as nicely onto that. So you want it to be an inch or so bigger than what you're actually working with so that it can actually stretch. So I have not had success yet in using the pinning method personally. What I use are really high-tech rubber bands and binder clips. Oh. Well, I guess we're using really big binder clips. Or really teeny binder clips. I have some. I have two really super long pieces medium-sized binder clip star is still attached to that. So, this is a method that works. You can have some variability with the tension on your rubber bands. Whether sometimes if you need longer ones, you can just thread them onto the posts, and then you have longer. These I tend to wrap around and adjust the tension as needed on there, and so that works too. You can also double them up and get even more tension. Yeah, so I find that it's a good flexible solution, and you often see a lot of people using the same type of methodology. So it works. It's fine. The only thing that I find I'll try to remember it again later is if when you're doing your painting and if you're flooding, that it doesn't necessarily always get under the clip. So you kind of have to make some adjustments and repaint sections sometimes, but not horrible. The other method that I have not tried myself yet, but I watched a really good video on it. I will find the video. I promise I will put it on the list of resources as well, because I'm really excited to try it. I think it's going to be very effective. What she does is she uses, again, a PVC frame, and she uses just straight pins and masking tape. And it looks really cool, and it doesn't, you don't have this big thing there. And you can be more liberal in how much of that you put across, so you can get a much more even tension than you can with the binder clips and the rubber bands. So I'm just going to go through and rubber bands and binder clips, and put a couple of these on and get this stretched out. Now this is probably going to end up not being tight enough on here, but it should be okay. So I think I'm going to have to make this one smaller. This is not one of those hobbies, I think, that you can just decide to do one day and just start. I will show you what I started with. I did start with this frame. This is my original frame that I always used, because you got to have at least that. But then you start getting into like the paints and such. The paints that are on, again, Dharma, they sell a set, like a beginner set, and it just has the basic colors. And if you're doing mostly heraldic designs, it's great because you have blue and green and yellow and red. So the first, probably, I don't know, 5 or so banners that I made were all just from that beginner set. And then you can start talking about brushes. There's a huge variety of types of brushes and styles of brushes, and I have some to display for you as well. So I'm just working on the tension here, trying to shorten these up so you can get some good tension. I don't want to have to make this longer because it's going to really be too long. Yeah, I think that'll end up working. Yeah, that'll be fine. One more. That's like a little bit, not quite as tight as I like it, so I'm going to redo that too. So once you have your silk on your frame, that's fine. It'll be fine. You've probably already decided what kind of a design that you want, because you picked out, the size of your silk when you have your design. The complexity of your design, I've warned people time and time again that you don't want anything that is like super fine detailed work. First of all, more or less nobody's really going to see it anyway, if these are being displayed as banners. And second of all, it's really difficult to get those to come out clean. The paint, since we're using this sturdy technique with the flowing paint, you need enough space for the paint to have somewhere to go. Having said that, you can use other paints to get shading and other effects on your design. That is something that I am about ready to start in my next endeavor for the next set of banners that I'm going to do, because I think it looks really pretty. See, I know the bins eventually die, so let's see if that one will work. Maybe we can get this one to go this way. That's going to be too loose. See if I can break another one. All right. The nice thing about these guys is that they are already starting for you. So you don't have to worry about getting the tension on yourself for just practicing. But I wanted you to see this. It's always good to have an understanding of like, the whole process. There we go. So it's kind of taught this way. And now I'm going to put a few in across the short end, the longer ends, so that we get some tension that way too. Ideally, having it nice and flat is the goal. And then sometimes your binder clips decide that they're going to not hold. I've used these binder clips a few times. So we're really messy with my hair. I might have to put it further in than I want, but that's okay. I try to get them right on the edge, so I'm not covering up as much of the design. That's going to just keep moving around on me. All right. We might just need to stay. And then side. So this one might be too long. I wish I could have made it narrower. That would be all right. Absolutely, yes. If there's questions, I'm happy to answer them.
In theory,
Mm-hmm.
could someone sew this in like you would an embroidery piece into a frame?
Yeah.
Could you use that same technique?
You could. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually this is really quick and easy. Not today.
It's only because you're not teaching until something goes wrong.
Right? I know. Like, hey, thanks.
And if you wanted the banner to be a different shape than what the piece was when it arrived, would you paint and then cut or cut and then?
I find that it's a lot easier to put something on a frame in a rectangular or circular shape.
Okay.
Actually, and circular is harder. Embroidery hoops, I would, or quilting hoops or something maybe. But yeah,
You have like
otherwise,
ovals for some of the quilting stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely go that route instead of trying to. Cut it. I did make one that was like the super long one that I made. They did want it to be pennant style.
Yeah.
And then, because that stayed on the frame this way. I'll show you the resist. There's some resists that are clear, which is nice. So I used a clear resist on the end so that we didn't have to, try to cut off a black edge or something. Yeah. All right. So anyway, it's just more or less a matter of doing that. There we go. Anakin, if I asked you to help me with the rest of it, are you okay with that? Sorry, all I have are these really big ones or these really tiny ones. See what we can manage there. So anyway, just these little connectors, different sizes of PVC, and you can pretty much get your frame to be, most reasonable sizes. Do you need to get some in? Yeah, let's put 4 on each side. Thanks. It'll get me. Sometimes, not always. I mean, I do them by myself at home, so that should work. It just makes it go faster. There we go. Is that one holding it? Okay. I also have a wood. Although these are starting to rot. This one's okay. Yeah, it's like variety of sizes of rubber bands. So that's the other thing you can do to alter the tension. So anyway, this is the most inexpensive way to get started, right? Yes, you can make a specialty frame for what you're doing. That's fine. And then, like I said, with the paints, like the basic set gives you the basic five. I think it's 5 colors: black, white, red, green, and blue. And maybe it's 6. I think yellow's in there too. So you can do a lot with that, and I did for a long time. And then brushes. So I'm going to pass this set of brushes around because I think this is hilarious. If you look at them very closely, you will see that they are Crayola brushes. I think I got them for the package was like $2 at Target or something whenever I bought them. And again, I used these 4 brushes for a very, very long time. And then once I, found the frustration points and learned about the Japanese brushes that are really nice, that they hold a lot of paint, and you can actually get a lot of flow with them. I find that the most challenging part of any banner that I have made is the background. Like the design, okay, that's great. That's just time and effort and being careful. The flooding the background is so hard. It is really, really hard, and there's variations in your paint or in your brush. And if you look at a lot of people's banners, and it's nothing against anybody because I can't get it right either, you will almost always see some kind of striping or streaking in the background. Because you have to work very, very fast. As soon as that paint dries, there's ways to get it wet again. And the last time I experimented with that, I ended up with worse streaks than I started. So, I'll just accept the streaks.
Do you start with the background first, or you start with the simple
I always do
design
the background last.
Background last?
I do my background last. I find that the white is nice to get the true colors that I want. I did buy some silks at one time. Oh, I think I'm putting them. They're light blue, and I thought, oh, that'd be really pretty. And then I started painting on one of them. I ended up getting it as a scarf. I just made it a artistic design scarf and gave it to one of my kids' teachers as a gift that year because it did not turn out. The colors were not as I expected because it was already on a colored surface. You can layer the colors on the paints. They're not opaque, so they do blend. I have some pink here because somebody wanted pink on something, and I decided that the next time I ever offer to do a banner in an auction or anything, it's going to be basic colors only. I mean, they turned out really good, but the one had gray elephants. I don't have gray. I didn't think about that. And the other one was for black talon, which they have like a beautiful maroon colored background, which is a very specific color. So I had to mix that, and do you think I mixed enough of it the first go round? So then I had to attempt to mix to match what I had on there already. So yeah, so you can get into this, and I would estimate that it's going to cost you about $100 or so to get started. So I think ultimately that's what you're in for. Okay, so we've washed our silk. We've now set it on our frame. We probably have a design picked out. Emma Ken has picked out, I'm going to make this one for Emma Ken, or at least we'll get it started. I'm going to put our dragon on there, and Bob, all the dragons.
Midland symbol.
the Midlands dragon and the Kingdom dragon. So then I just kind of, I eyeball it, lay it out. You can measure, that's fine. I tend to be a little more free flow in my design. How much space did you want to leave on the end? Do you want to here? Tell me where you would like them. I know, right?
While she's doing that, I have a question.
Yes.
If you're doing a design in white, would you then do the background first in order to do white design, or would you try to do like?
So the only way you're going to get the white to show up. Okay,
Are you
so
gonna want the pale behind the dragon too?
yeah, I figured. Yeah, we're gonna put a pale on.
A pale symbol.
So okay, let's use this as an example. Okay. We have. So you're saying that you want the background to be black and the oak leaf to be white,
Or something like that, yeah.
Okay. So you could. I would still transfer the design on, and then you could just leave the oak leaf uncolored, and then just let the black around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious, I noticed you had white paint, and I wasn't sure if that was like.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth with the white paint. It does kind of brighten up the white a little bit, so it's not completely useless. Mostly I have this white for mixing, so that if I want to lighten up a color, I have white to do that with. That's how I got this ever so lovely pink. I'm trying to remember what I used the pink on. But yeah. White does work. There's also when I did Killian's like one of the first banners I did was Killian's, and the for the belt, his knight's belt, it had a gold buckle on it. So that's when I went and got actual paint. So there are some sections of some banners when I actually go back and like put regular paint on instead of.
Is it just like acrylic or?
This
Is that
is, I
acrylic
think
or
so.
fabric?
It's Lumiere by Jacquard. So
There's a fabric paint.
it's a fabric, yeah. You set yeah, because you have to set some fabric. Some of them you have to set, some of them you don't. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't say if it's acrylic or not. I think it's. Oh yeah, sorry, there it is. Yeah, light-bodied metallic acrylic. Are these little guys? These came in a set. Yeah. You just find that you keep buying more things. It's like, oh, I'd like to do this. I'd buy that. Okay, so let's talk about transferring the design. Alright, so I have these pens. This is my preference. There's actually 3 different kinds. Well, I guess there's still just 2, but sometimes they come. Sometimes there's a pink version. So the which one's which? I don't remember. One of them is water, and one of them is air. The purple is air. So I can draw with this purple pen, and after an amount of time, and it really depends on the amount of humidity in the air, I found, like how hot or cold your room is, it slowly disappears. So making these in the middle of the summer, I get about 15 minutes to draw my design, and then it's gone. The blue ones are water soluble, so you get your soap wet, it disappears. And we are going to have to wash the soap again once all the stuff is on it. Yes.
I've heard some people have had issues with the air pen actually coming back if it's very, very cold temperatures.
Really?
Yeah, so it might be something to look into.
Okay. Like I said, most of my soap painting time ends up being at the end of spring into summer, so I have not had that happen, but thank you for sharing that, because that's good to know.
It can happen on garments too.
Okay. Yeah, because some people use these for sewing too. Yeah. Instead of chalks or whatever. So I am not going to use this on my pocket. All right. Again, some people trace their stuff before they put it on the frame. Whatever works for you. I've always done mine on the frame. And I find that this is also where this is really handy. Because I can just set it on there. Sometimes I like to put stuff underneath it to help hoist it up a little bit. Bibles come in handy for that. it's what was here. So, if anybody wants to come up, that's fine. It's just a matter of getting it set, kind of where you want it, keep it straight. And then I'm just going to, I'll use the water soluble one so it doesn't disappear on us. But I just go through and, it's a brand new pen, so it's kind of bleeding a little bit, but it's okay. But just tracing it out. And the more detailed your image is, the harder it is to get this. Like, especially once we get to the resist stage.
I like the water ones.
Hopefully we
That makes sense.
can. I've done a number of these. Yes, sorry.
One that I'm thinking of where in cold temperatures it comes back to check that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's it might. So okay, while I'm doing this, who would like to participate and have a Thank you. That's super nice. You wanna do that? There's 20 of them. So well, I mean, it's you start on the tail.
It's like a feeling
Yeah.
We just printed these, so.
Oh, that would be cool. Is it like half and half? Everybody knew.
I don't have 20 pens, so we'll have to like share. And some of you will get water ones, and some of you will get air ones.
I just thought that. Or what they actually out there.
Thank you all. And I do have some basic things. Like if you don't feel like you're an artist and you want to trace something, I have a couple of things that I share there. Like I have some stars and tables, and I have shocker as well.
I'm over here now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So one for you two.
So there's more intricate designs.
That's also the other thing. If you pull up an image on your cell phone, you can also trace on your cell phone.
Yeah, there's good. Yeah.
website is the Robert Art Value.
Yes, that's a great one. I don't think I have a horse. It's a
Right.
I think it's a wolf.
That's a wolf.
Oh, this guy's super cute too. The bunny riding a dog.
Oh my God,
That's
that is
cool.
cute.
And all the jocks are here.
And there's a demon head.
Do you want me to bring you?
I kind of save everything that I've ever used. So.
Funny to
That's
that side.
That side?
Oh, that one's cute.
Pass them around.
I like that.
Is there anyone who wants a wolf?
I want the wolf.
Okay.
Do we have a plain piece of paper so I can sketch it out what I want?
Oh, this is
Wait, I can use that.
Okay, so these are anybody recognize these?
Oh, you nerd! Amazing.
Well, when I have a young teenage son at the time, I'm like, honey, what do you want on your banner? And he goes,
Mother it up. Nice.
I want the little one. Yeah, I
Want that one?
probably.
All the way over there?
I don't know where it is.
It was requested. I think we can handle that.
Was there still one of the frames left? Or did that get
One
taken?
try better than the other to draw on. That shouldn't be. It wasn't quite the right size. Okay.
That's exactly the one I'm looking for.
Convenient.
Yeah, so these are some more gamer ones, and there's more going around the room.
You got it. You got it. Now you get the full effect, right? Okay. Once you have your design on, I'll talk about the resist here. So there's a couple of different types of resist. These paveos, you can get it. It's called Gouda. Not all resists are called Gouda. Excuse me. But that's what I prefer to use. I think we're good. So these are handy because they come in pre-done tubes, and you just snip the little end off. These are kind of ends. They're a little hard to squeeze out, but there's still stuff in there. We're going to hand out paper towels. I highly recommend giving it a little go on a paper towel before you try to I could do anything. Sure. It has to go that way. So these are all black. If anybody would like to try a clear one, let me know. We have to pass those down. Oh, I have one more black that's not open. So we can open this one too. Everybody take a paper towel too. Okay. So this stuff is called Resistod, and Resistod is some proprietary formula that I find is the most amazing thing. The Paveo works great. The Resistod is also water-based. They're both water-based fluids, so that means they rinse out. So when you put your lines down, they're going to be thicker and heavier. And I have a hair dryer, so we can make sure we dry it in and get it in there before we try to put some color in it. But these are basically uncolored. So I have all these little tubes that have colored resist that I've made over the time. So there's like a maroonish color, there's a red. So much. The red seems like it works. So if somebody wants to try a red resist instead of a black, I have a red here. And then there's this darker green. We might have to add a little bit of pink or something to soften it up. So we have the Paveo, and it comes in the tubes, which you can buy off of Amazon or at an art store. And then the Resist Dot, this stuff, I actually originally started buying it off of Dharma. They ran out, and oddly enough, I was able to get some off of Amazon, which I was shocked. But it's not always in stock. So the resist is what we're going to use. So you've drawn your line now, and show what you're doing. So what you're going to do then is you're going to use the resist, and you're going to then follow your outline. So basically, you're going to draw your art at least twice. Okay.
And you want to draw on top of a piece of paper
Or something.
as it goes through.
Right. The other thing to keep in mind when you are when you're putting if you're using your own colors or the stuff out of the jar, you're going to need tips for your little bottles. And I find that the size, I usually buy them in little sets. And they come in, I've got 7mm or 0.7, 0.9 are the two that I end up using the most. Those are the sizes that seem to work the best. But you'll find what works best for you. Because it varies. Some things work better for other people. But yeah, paper towels are a must. Where'd the paper towels end up?
They're coming back towards us.
See if I can get this one to work. There's a paper towel here. So if your resist is too thin, like this one, you can see it really runs, and that's not going to be good, because what we want is a crisp line. Okay? So that one's a little too thin, so we're definitely not going to want to use that one. There's different tips that you can use for these little bottles. I tend to like the bottles myself, but you want to make sure that when you put your resist on, that you are not leaving any open holes in your line. Okay, it has to be a contiguous line, because when you put the paint on, you don't want that paint to escape outside of your line anywhere.
You're building a dam around it.
You're building a dam.
Remember, it's resisting.
How thick of a line are we shooting for?
So it doesn't have to be, the thickness of the line usually depends on the tip that you're using. So if you want a thicker line, you're going to use a lighter tip. If anybody's ever worked with henna before, laying your Gouda line is kind of like laying henna. You don't want to touch the tip to the silk. You want to have the material come out and lay down on top. Don't worry about line.
Don't worry about doing Bob, by the way.
Yeah.
I would like
Yeah, I tend to, I have a lightwood table, and I just put the things underneath, and I tape the silk down so it doesn't move. And then,
I just wanted to see if there were some things that were translatable. Wood burning. So I found this really interesting. Wood burning.
Yeah, just let it lay on the top, so you don't have to push it in.
picture of the house, and then on your wood, it is an environment. And then some of the time will transfer on.
Yes, you will.
Can't doubt this.
Yeah, it's hard to get it out.
Now, it is possible to skip the step of tracing your design. If you want, you can just bring in the design. There are no rules. But if we're doing heraldic things, then does anyone want to red? So, good resist line. This one bled up. Okay. So I don't know if they can see that. Oh, there's something in that camera. Good resist line is the thin one. The other one bled out. Ah, nice, nice. My Evie has the wolf on hers too. Okay. I don't think this black one is going to work. Oh, okay. So let's talk about black. And this is why I have the Cabello and I have this. They do not make the black resist dye. It just doesn't exist. And I could have sworn at one time that it did, but I was wrong. So I bought this because I'm like, oh wait, it's the same thing, but it is not the same thing. It actually says right on there, permanent resist. It's water-based, but it says permanent, which means it does not wash out. Like once you rinse it, it does not wash out. Therefore, it leaves kind of a raised, sticky, sometimes often sticky line. I accidentally used this when I made Sir Drew's banner. He still says he loves it, but I'm kind of embarrassed by it because it was not the resist that I intended to use. Mistress Heloise, we actually used this on hers as well. It got really hot at Pennsic, and when she didn't realize until after we came home, and she unpacked her banner, and when she unpacked her banner, she had to because it started to stick to it didn't reactivate so much as it, but she now does also have black splotches on some parts of her banner. Again, you can't really see it. In the
Turn them into cats. So what would be the reason to use that?
So if you don't mind it having a heavier residue behind it, and you're not going to use it in really hot environments, I guess it's okay. There is one more type of resist that I don't have the name of it. I actually threw it away. It is extremely chemically. It comes in a silver tin, and it is, I think it's just like actual melted rubber or something, and it is the worst stuff that I've ever attempted to work with, and I do not recommend it whatsoever. Rubber cement's easy compared to I ruined, yeah. I ruined a few little things because I was trying to, put it in there so I could use it, and then it wouldn't come out, and I looked it up, and like some people have good results with it, I guess, but it was not for me. Nope, not using it. There you go, looks great.
Don't budget.
You got a ruler? You got to pick a line? Yeah, go ahead. This one is a little older. If you are going to mix your color, so it's like the red that's in over there, actually I can put this in here. I usually use like a little Ziploc baggie, because what you're going to do is, according to the directions, you take an equal amount of this and an equal amount of your paint. Now, if you only have your Dynaflow paint, it's not as thick. So I have found that to color my resist, I'm going to just use regular fabric paint, not the Dynaflow. That is something that I have learned now. It takes a lot less product on the paint side to get the good color. And black is extremely difficult to mix. I wish I had my banners here because it looks like it's black, and you let it sit and it dries, and then you wash it out, and you have a gray black. So black is really difficult to get.
Black dye
If you want
in
to do
general.
gray, do it in black and then wash it.
So a question on the resist.
when you're done with all your painting, and then you wash everything out, does the resist go away?
On these it does. The Cabello and the resist side.
So if you want like an actual outline in some color, that's when you would color resist. Because your resist goes away in the paint.
And the paint color stays. So right now there's the red, there's these little bits of black. I don't know that this green might work. Like I said, I think I need to put a little more paint in this one, and I need to put a little more resist in this one, and then we'll have this darker red and a nice green as well. And my super exciting ways of doing that involve small sticks and lots of paper towels. And I'll get some, I think everybody has some. We might need a couple more. Oh my gosh, look at that. Okay, she did that. Alright, let me see if I can get these in a better state for you guys. Oh, there's also this black one. If somebody wants to just be careful getting this set up, it's brand new. Because you use the craft circuit and it's going to do it over. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. Where did you get them in your hand?
Thank you. So the tubes, unfortunately, they're kind of expensive too. They're almost $10 a piece. So yeah. That's why I didn't throw away like little bits.
Yeah. So it's like $5 enough to give you, or did you need more than that?
Oh no, you're fine. Because we're not going to use that whole tube. So I'll stop that. This one I think you need more paint. Oh, for the ones that need more paint, I find syringes work really good. Oh, there's more. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, these are good. Just make sure, I think it's this one, be very careful. You've got, I also have a clear one in the Cabello, if anybody wants to use a clear. Clear resist?
I mean, I might need one at some point.
Alright, let's see. Do you want to use this? See if, yes, this is black. See if you can get it to work. I think that might be the one I was having trouble with. Green paint, green paint.
I did take a look at the website. There's a lot of you ever do
Your Majesty, you have more for this. Quite that.
Yes, we have a couple more to. We do. I just didn't have enough for it.
What I can see are this
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I've worked with henna before, so for me this was like, oh yeah, my henna piece, that's great.
So, I'm trying to get like this kind of detail. So, what kind of resist should I use it for resist? You said resist is going to completely wash away, right?
Well, it's going to leave a line behind.
Sorry, I promise.
It'll be whatever color line you put on there. If you don't mind the black line,
Okay.
yeah.
What's that?
Looks like that kind of. So you do want it to.
Let's see if that works. Okay, yeah, because now she's not these lines.
You might want to. You may borrow the sticker. Stickers.
Yeah, we can't go through this whole film.
Oh, it's the tip. The tip's not. Oh, I got the pin. Can I want to shake up the green?
I can shake the green.
Thanks. That works.
Yeah, I was 12 to 1.
Alright, do you want to take a seat?
Yeah.
What?
You want to see me table?
Yeah.
Okay. I love you.
I love you
This
too.
is for
Alright, this is fun, right? Yeah. So, are you ready a little bit more?
I did too.
Oh, okay.
I just think if I can actually.
Well, that's what you need, and then we're gonna need to get.
You can try it. I'm waiting.
While you're there,
That was
a perfect one.
I'm the outside part, but I don't
We can
need
do,
to.
I'll get my phone. Wait, can we do them? Okay, to the QR.
Finish off what you've got. I have a separate middle piece that I can use a different color on. See what you can get out of it. Did you have another resist? I don't care what color.
I think, so is the green ready?
Oh,
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's the good. Yeah, you know, occasionally use it.
That was good.
Well, maybe.
It's probably amazing.
yeah.
You're doing very good.
Yeah. I'll find the. Did you say the maroon or dark?
Who else still needs, you still need?
No, it's too runny. It's still neat right there.
I still need numbers.
Alright, so theirs wasn't working. So as soon as she's done over here, we'll pass it back over to
It
you,
looks like you're
okay?
writing a yeah.
Actually, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Just guess in your head.
What kind of?
There's like
We'll set it right there. I don't know.
These are all printouts.
I know. Like, your hand does get really.
Video cameras right
the green is actually.
This is so nice.
I had
We've all been
That was all done.
edited.
The tip for this bottle.
There's a chemical
This
that
was
you use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Majesty, what's the tip for this
It's hard
bottle?
to get. Like,
Is that come with the bottle or?
No, if I did yeah.
Nice.
oh yeah, I was
I
happy
like
when
the
we got
bottles
done.
better.
So I'm like, all right, that worked out.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because my wedding ring. Yeah, so like,
No, unfortunately, that one has something in it, so,
but I really wanted to sell
it's
so
not
that
honestly, I think I can put some of this in there because for these,
Talk about it before you die.
Like
And tell me if I need to make the ring.
Yes, but it is so nice.
And so it's just keeping it steady.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you might want to go back and do the face and then take it paint, because otherwise, like I said, the thing with paint is you'll touch it and then it'll go into the case.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. I'm used to watercolor. So
That's pretty good.
yeah.
yeah, these are really
Did I show
good.
you, like, a few years ago, Lane hosted Rose University. I did a banner with the bodies on it.
You're building a dam so
Yeah,
that.
It's like at the start,
Runoff.
you go through and then you take.
So again, as you're doing your resist, remember, you are building a dam, so if you have detail work like faces, make sure that you do the face detail work with resist, because otherwise any color you apply will flow and it will take over the whole space.
I've got a question.
to sleep through resist.
Reach it out as quickly as you possibly can.
How do you get it off area? Or it's not a solid.
It's part of the design. Now you have to alter your design a bit. Yeah. Same way when you're painting, if you accidentally put the paint in the wrong place, like, well, now it's part of the design.
Yeah. This is a working tool, so.
Are you getting your bear?
Yeah. Trying to. It's gloss.
Laura? My badge.
It looks good.
One more, so, yeah. Let's see if we can get some of this.
Which one do you want?
Would anyone like clear resist?
Oh, there's also a brand new bottle of clear. Oh, that's there's also another bottle of clear. If you like.
Claim that you did.
If there's any black resist left.
Yeah, that's looks like there's one there. I mean, some people have used no. Not that I. I'm not gonna say
I guess I'm doing this now.
Don't die.
Not a whole lot.
You guys want to start? There's a little bit in there. It's black. You want this off?
I have the red.
Okay.
Red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I think
We can do it out.
I mean, it,
oh, you might want to double check down there.
Ah, yeah, I
There's
see.
some breaks.
Yeah.
Sometimes just dragging the tip through is enough.
yes.
That's cool. They get a shower. Like, you got dirt on your face. I'm like, it's nothing. Would you mind getting me a big cup? And I'd also check the tip over here.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was the last one we made.
Like she was saying, just even dragging a toothpick or a bamboo skewer.
So it doesn't actually have to be like elevated off the...
No,
Okay.
because a bit of the resist sinks into the silk. And yeah, it's just that you need to have an umbrella on it because otherwise it'll slip. And there you go. And the next cut, that was sort of like the sharp pin part on this one.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. For those of you
Sorry, it's like,
No, this is like...
I also have contacts and sunglasses, so I'm also like, I'm not sure, but I think that helps.
My hands are terrible with stuff like this. I don't notice I shake until I try to draw anything. It's like, oh god.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you head over to the hair drying station, hit it just to make sure that it's dry.
Oh God, my legs. They won't.
I need.
I just used it a bit.
It's there. It's coming out fast. Okay. So test it out. you do, Queen Majesty. Do you want her to grab the silk?
Okay.
But super light touch on that one, otherwise it's gonna
Your Majesty, how dry does it need to be?
just it shouldn't take too long on these because there's not a whole lot that I've done.
I mean, I have to come
Try
back.
not, yeah.
Just if she's not there. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I know, and then like
Don't break your wrists again. I can certainly get you before I walk off with yet another lotus.
I love how many people are using yeah, we're doing the market. Oh! I saw the one on your hat, yeah.
But you know, I appreciate the kinship.
Yeah, what's the
I tried to take a similar class at 2 Hendricks that I've always been booted because I got there less than 10 minutes before it started. So, yeah.
the colors, we're gonna all have to share. And there's brushes up here too. So a brush. Yeah, later on. I mean, these because they're more stable already. But you can really rock it.
No, I'm just trying to plan.
Kind of jerky looking fella making it.
Otherwise, we play with these.
Yeah.
One of the requisites is about glass thirds, having
Yeah, it will have to share the colors.
super
Obviously,
shaky. My hands
what color? This looks great.
anyway, but I do not look just like ever. Yeah. And then it pushes out, you're trying to draw it. Yeah.
I'm sure this will be. I'm not.
That's why I was going kind of generic. Also, I don't know blue, so.
Yeah. Oh. Yes.
Yeah.
It's regular paint. Yeah, it's just a little bit.
I'm taking up your stuff before they draw.
I'm gonna take them.
Oh, I'm sure those are cool. Look, I was gonna say,
So do we just put this or just keep it?
Now, there's a little bit in there. I thought the police made a good idea. I barely knew what I was doing. Did you guys brush? Yeah, we have brush. Yeah, that was cool. I swore after having my children, like, I'm always going to carry baby wipes forevermore. Well, eventually you do fall out of the practice of carrying baby wipes, sadly. Like, nope, need to get back into that habit again. Yeah, that worked really well.
Kitty scotches. Kitty scotches.
Helen, Violet, Sam, I want to get that resist on each other.
They'll wash off.
So how much, like, if I wanted to, or else if you know someone who's used the same Helen.
Right.
I'll use the plate.
I'll do there.
So, I always get my brush a little wet.
Yeah, you ought to have a smile.
For the brushes, gone? I meant
They'll go good. Oh,
yeah.
you should help people. You better return these. We're illuminators. We understand brush. We are not going to use them. Not abuse.
Are we not going to put any yellow in there?
Yeah.
Probably just the white. Okay. Oh, okay.
Are you recommending one brush per color or one brush per person?
I got a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh,
I didn't know it was
yeah.
Be realistic. I was gonna say, I usually don't brush this brush. So maybe you're matching the brush a little bit, and then blend, and then.
Yeah, so just so that the brush already has a little bit of wet to it, and then you can dab your brush on your paper towel. Yeah. And then once your brush is more or less primed, yeah. And then you can just start with a little bit of paint on it. Yeah, over that. And then touch it, just touch it to the silk. You might have to hold it stuck out, yeah. And it should look like it's oozing out. So,
I'm like, here, let me email you some pictures.
yeah, sorry, it's a little harder to get it out of the
And then like put on the field, falling down. So.
Oh, that part. Okay.
I need to take a picture.
Oh, okay. So yeah, and she's, you guys can share.
I'm just using the lip.
Okay. And of course, the black one.
That calendar is actually what sparked the conversation.
You don't need a lot. A little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, like this one. This one's not okay.
I have to get more.
Here, let me email you. Like it's on the whole thing. I don't have the damn ones. I have like all the color patches. I do have the PDFs.
I'll just wait and wash my hands when I'm done.
You're just gonna have colorful hands go for it.
I think we'll be okay. I want to go back to the subject.
When my mom was first introducing me to the internet,
So,
she remembered growing up that there was a movie and it was
yeah, the booth over
a
here.
German movie, but it was
I'm
a
scared
Native
already.
American,
And one of those brown brushes.
like Western situation, blah, blah, blah.
Probably.
So she went, she got
Filling
this movie at
or are you doing the inside of the?
she's like,
Are you doing the inside?
No, that is white.
Mom,
Right.
would you like
Yeah,
some help
probably
with
one of
searching?
the brushes.
Let us help you.
Yes, people can use it. I have, we have the book here. So go to your read first.
I am going to do the room. Okay, excellent. That was the seat that was available that we were telling you to sit
No,
in.
we're just gonna pull it right out of the.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's very
I did.
No.
You can also tell when it's dry.
No, I ended up having actual pain. Right. I'll get you for less, so I got so much. Because the resist will go away, I'm going to use the line from the outside and black on it.
Who else? Yes.
That's here for whatever reason.
So, ideally, want to let
But
the.
it emptied after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a watercolor.
With an enabler.
new shading work with other but it has so it's gonna be an undefined shape. What do I need to get? I don't know what they're pretty liquid.
That's why I wanted to please make sure we completely clean the brushes before you switch colors. I don't want to mix my colors. In there.
Now you're gonna have to have this underneath the page too.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, and this will actually help too. So if you put that on top there, that'll be perfect. Oh, I like the clear. Yeah, that's gonna be really fun. Yeah.
What's the best way to switch
I usually do minus
right on there.
Well, the good news is this is quick.
Yeah.
As long as the brush is clean. Yeah. We just need to clean the brush. Yeah. That's how brush. Very nice. Did you use the red resist?
You have like.
And you can always change it.
I don't.
I had a couple of windows. One of them was a
You can also
completely detailed and then resisted 20% but I knew a thing or two about dry brushing, so I can actually get paint in.
Right.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of my Warhammer days.
Oh.
In fact, sitting on the floor over a paint, over a paint jar, and my niece screaming at me like, "Hey, you're not supposed to sit like this anymore." I'm like, "Shut up, I'm almost done."
I'm almost done.
Your watch cups. Well, I was on the floor. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll take them in that. I think that's one thing. Yeah, if anybody wants to use red, they can use that brush. Yeah. Maybe use red? Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's some water. Let's get your brush wet. Can you get your brush wet for me? Sure. Okay. I can take a little bit. Yeah. You can do both. Look at that. Yeah. I'll make them hurt. Anything that happens.
Hide in my coffee.
We're gonna hide that.
No, that too, yeah. Again, back to my Warhammer days, accidentally drinking the rinse cup.
Essentially, this big frame and just one fabric not real things.
Dry the brush, but I switched.
Yeah, so if you did the section, that would be fine.
If we're doing a personal one, that makes sense.
I literally just identified it.
Just because we're defined.
Well, that was just the line.
But you have to see the same effect as, kind of building up on it.
I'm gonna use that paint you keep making fun of.
There's a little bit of it left. You're welcome to whatever's
I
there.
was gonna say, projections way that I tend to.
Is somebody using it?
No, I said I can send it. Oh, here. Yeah, take my tattoos on that. I'm sorry, I forgot to.
I was thinking about setting it up.
It's not left for it.
Essentially,
Yeah. Her Majesty prefers to put everything on the printed sheets and then she puts the design.
They're gonna be black
okay. So that way that.
Because with my method with community jobs, you can kind of say if I'm going straight, I do straight, and then with empty painted, so you have this.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, pick up.
It's on the level. It's nice. You can try it.
Yes. Okay, there you go, sir.
I left an open seat over there.
I
It's already scratched out.
Yep, no, that was all. That was not your model.
Okay, Violet, you need.
Okay. Yes, I will say that real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of want everything Violet? You gotta make that decision once you start.
Oh, there's a stink right there?
Stop painting this side. Make the mistake. Stop painting
Most of it's watercolor, so as long as we clean it quickly, it should be okay.
Oh, yeah.
You've been planning on getting one for a while.
What do you want, please?
Yeah. And be careful, you don't want to put the brush like all the way down in there.
It starts here. All you have to do is get a brush.
Yeah, no, we're getting one. We've been waiting, and now it's on sale.
I don't want anything. All I did was
And then it also comes with a front rotator, so I barely need to get inside.
I'm just scratching.
So
what's the standard pH set?
So the jet, a few words, a few words about the paint, alright? So what you're painting on is not something that we're necessarily going to, have out in the elements, right? It's not a garment that you're wearing that is going to be washed or anything. So ideally, you want to let, if you're making a banner, you want to let your paint completely dry on the frame for as long as you can. If you have a nice sunny spot to set it in, that's even better, because that will help then continually heat set. Your other option is to hit it with a hairdryer after it's painted, hit it with a hairdryer so it's nice and dry, and then iron it. I find that is so labor intensive, and it's not my favorite way of doing it. I usually just try to find a nice sunny spot in the house and let it sit for a couple of days in the sun. There are also mixed results with using commercial dryers, air dryers, laundry for your laundry. And again, the more modern ones in your house don't seem to get as hot. Some people have had good results putting them in the dryers at the laundromat. But they need time. They need time to cure and set. The one other thing that I've heard of and that people have had mixed results as well is putting them in the oven. So you obviously are going to need some kind of oven-safe container to put your silk in, and you are going to have to really be careful that you do not burn your silk in your oven. There are YouTube videos. There are lots of resources. Question?
Hit the thrift stores.
Yeah.
Find a used dehydrator.
Oh.
You can leave that thing running safely for days if you need to.
Okay. Yeah, so I find that, the longer you can let it sit before you do anything, before you rinse it, and then again, for the banners, you're going to rinse them. And it depends on the type of paint you use and the type of resist that you use. For the items that we have used today, it is a cool rinse. You rinse it in warm, you're losing your color, and it's not going to be pretty. It's a cool rinse. Heat set, cool rinse. Yes, and it was actually a safe. Purple?
Does anyone need red?
I will.
Okay. Red. Oh, great. Thank you. You can get a red brush.
Oh, perfect. Well, the thing is, I was starting with the light.
Sure, yeah.
Very smooth.
There's a bright
I will go get the black.
and there's not.
So,
Oh, good.
let's put the lid on. Nobody is
Oh, no.
So there have been some questions about the white paint and what it looks like. I do have an example in my phone I can hand around. But basically it provides an opaque white as opposed to a transparent white. The other way in which white paint is really useful is that it prevents other colors of paint from bleeding onto that area. So if you have like a white rabbit and you want to make sure it stays white, paint it with the white paint, and then just in case there might be a break in the line, if that paint is dry, that paint acts as a sort of resist.
Please do not put paint in the lid. Thank you.
Like the joins and overlaps are where it's kind of
I didn't look all the way down.
Oh,
That hurt.
yeah.
Wait, actually, they want the inside here. Yeah, it's just
Like mine was
want the rest of all the green, or did you say?
yeah, that's totally
You did a great job. That's awesome.
I tried to.
Yeah, there's some white.
I didn't.
Yeah. I know it goes around like that. Like go back to yeah.
Do you want the bright green, or do you want one of the darker greens? No, it didn't. Give me a second, Violet. Do not even try. First of all, your expression is not oh, you would not actually see it.
Yes, even the shading. If you're, oh yeah, you said you're an architect. Yeah.
You may have to clean it up.
I'm waiting on the other.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, I walked. All right.
Okay.
I need that. I know. How it happened, because you know, with me, with things, things go all the way.
How far you have to put it in there.
There we go. Well, that's a pretty purple.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, it just dries, I think.
I'm almost done if then you want to
There's this
you need to keep
Cool water. Also, whether we've been having to stick in the corner,
Right?
not going away.
Yeah.
People were also saying trying to get a hydrator.
Dehydrator, I haven't tried that myself, but.
Should I continue to keep
He can help pizza.
It's your turn to go going, yeah. I know, there might be a little break.
Not much the hair dryer.
Neil is available.
for how long.
Awesome.
What is the name? Oh, this
Obviously, my position is not on your wall.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your patience.
I appreciate that.
Oh, you
You
can.
can help write a little bit.
I don't think I can.
But it'll be dry till we go home. Like, if you just kind of like highlight it.
Results, your results. Yay! It's more of slowly but surely. But I have a banner literally beside me. Literally, I think they said
So if you want to do something like that, that would give you, you can use crisp lines and things with that.
I do have some of these.
It's not going to overflow.
Yes. You guys did a good job. Yes.
In some regards,
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. That looks great. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, I changed my mind. I think I want to steal that color.
Are they great?
Oh, that is really pretty.
They have a room outside. We do.
Yeah,
Okay, we have 15 minutes left. We are going to clean up. I think the next class actually starts right at 3. Yeah.
That's a quarter to.
I know.
It's
So if you need a color that somebody else is using, and I can get someone to shoot it.
I'm looking for right in that knob.